Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Before we begin, two things. I'm not in the audio booth, so expect to hear some interruptions in the background. And then, second thing is the cold is still there, so this might be one of those sniffling episodes. Well, the good thing is I'm not high on what's it called, Puritan this morning. Just took loratadine instead, so hopefully in a couple of hours I should be okay. Then today I'm not going to be tackling any question per se. This one is more of a random thoughts episode. But before I get into it, let me just share a couple of stuff with you guys. Because my wife accuses me, she says I'm a nerd, and I vehemently disagree. But still, let me just share with you guys what I have on the playlist. And yes, I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. So currently on Spotify, while I'm working, I like to have music in the background. Yes, I know. For those of you who are productivity geeks, you will say music in the background while working equals zero. You're not getting work done. And to a certain extent, yes, I'm going to agree because when music is on in the background, I do notice that tasks take a whole lot longer. But I've noticed that if I can have controlled distractions, at least I'm able to maintain the pace for a longer stretch. So, but then I'll leave it up to you guys who are productivity hacks or maybe management specialists and stuff like that to carry on the debate. But yeah, once in a while I work with music in the background. So currently I'm listening to Serge Tankian. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. For those of you who listen to that sort of music, hit me up. Let me know. And if you are a late 70s, early 80s kid like I am in Nigeria, then you should be familiar with the group, the System of a Down. One of my sisters think they are downright demonic, because of the head thrashing, the heavy metal guitar, what else, makeup and all that sort of stuff. So Serge Tankian, that's what I'm listening to on Spotify. His band is System of a Down, but I'm listening to his solo stuff and some of his collaborations. Then on Netflix, if you guys want to check out what I am watching, I'm currently trying to finish Star Trek Beyond. It was, because this is old now, it was a reboot of the Star Trek series. Although I prefer the second one, which was Wrath of Khan, which was also based on the older television episodes of Star Trek. So that's what's currently on my playlist. So whether I'm a nerd or not, I'll leave it to you guys to decide. But then again, like I said, I vehemently object to that label because I just think I have fine taste. Let me just put it that way. Now, straight to the episode for today. Random thoughts. I had two business meetings today, and coming back home just got me thinking, okay, well, one of them was a business meeting. The other one was not really a business meeting. It was more personal. But then coming back home, it got me thinking about a bunch of stuff. Now, the first meeting was supposed to be for 9 a.m., but I was able to be there by 8:30. And so called up the person like, hey, what's up? Was supposed to be 9, but it's 8:30. I'm in the neighborhood, so how far? And guys like, yeah, sure, let's get started. And we did. Now, the second meeting, I told the person that I had some stuff to do in their neighborhood for 9 o'clock. So anyhow, when that 9 o'clock finishes, I'll hit you up. So, she said, okay, no, hala, you can come through. But because I showed up at 8:30 and finished with the first guy at 9, I just drove to the second place. And I'm like, hey, madam, sorry, meeting finished early, so I'm around. So what's up? And she was like, yeah, sure, come up. So came, had the meeting. And summary, by 10 a.m. at the time of this recording, I was back at my desk and ready to get some work. So I figured, so in those interactions, a bunch of stuff got me thinking. I figured, let me just make a podcast episode about that. So one of them is this whole thing around the benefits of coming early or starting early. And the reason why I want to point this out is because currently 56% of those of you who listen to this show are Nigerian. We still have 30-something% of you who are Americans, but I don't know enough about what's it called? What's this thing called? When you're trying to figure out data. So I don't know if you guys are like American citizens, or you just happen to be Nigerians in diaspora. But either way, since more than half of us are Nigerians on the show, we have this thing about African time, Nigerian time, blah, blah, blah. And, I guess it's just one of those things. But still, on the podcast, I've always advocated that as a professional salesperson, and we should view ourselves as professional salesperson people, we should not be late. I think it's unforgivable for a salesperson to be late because you're already beginning to set the impression that you're going to be sloppy about a bunch of stuff, and that is stuff that will just make life difficult. Let me just put it that way. So let's go back to the wedding photography example, because that's where I started off my business experience. As a wedding photographer, if the bride already thinks you're sloppy, then wahala day, because you do something, she kind of expects you to be sloppy anyway. And if there are legitimate concerns concerning delivery, like that time when customs went on strike and I couldn't get my albums through, some of it would be like, how much of it was really customs problem or how much of it was really down to the photographer. But because I always made it a point of call to be early and things like that, there are times when I've had legitimate business snafus like that, like people are willing to be forgiving because like, oh, it's you, that kind of thing. So there are benefits to coming early because it helps enhance your credibility with other people. They see that you're a correct guy or you're a correct girl. And quite frankly, it helps you save time because you now get more done in a day. Because originally I was thinking that by 1, I'll be back in the house. And then I'll now have time to get some stuff done before schoolwork. But sorry, not schoolwork. What's it called? Pick up and drop off school runs. Then, but because I was early, the other people were available. We started early, who were quite free to go about our day. And instead of getting back to my desk at 12, like I thought, I was back at 10. And so I hope you guys can see that even though we are in a African time, Nigerian time culture, there are some benefits to starting on time. And so, of course, yes, you might catch the other people off guard. But sometimes the other people might be just as happy to, get on with the agenda and get out of the way. Because for the second lady, at the time I showed up, she was in the middle of some domestic stuff. So it actually turned out to be a good thing. Because like, okay, cool. So now we can get rid of this business conversation sharp. And so I can spend the next, however hours or whatever dealing with these domestic issues that I have to deal with. So it turned out to be a good thing. And then, even if you're on time, the other people are not on time, they're running late, things like that. For those of us who choose to do content marketing to promote our businesses, this is a good way to get content marketing done. And yes, this is the reason why sometimes I'm making a podcast episode and you guys hear cows in the backgrounds or chickens or whatever. It's because we're supposed to have a meeting. The person is not there yet. Rather than just sit down and do nothing and maybe drink Fanta or whatever, just go back to the car, make a podcast recording real quick, upload, and then go for the meeting. And so you adopt this kind of mindset, you're going to be able to get a lot done. You don't have to be a podcaster. If you're somebody who is creating content like writing blog posts or stuff like that, then just whip out your phone and start clacking away and get things done. I strongly recommend everybody should have a Bluetooth keyboard. I know that my advice is, what's that word? It sounds like tech for tech's sake. Like people see the keyboard and like, this is cool. But it's beyond cool. Yeah, it makes you look cool, makes you look sexy, makes you look like Tony Stark. But really, Bluetooth headphones, you can call whenever you want to. Bluetooth keyboard, you can type quickly. You don't have to do that thumb thing on your phone. So you guys, think about it. Bluetooth headset, Bluetooth keyboard. Basically, you have a mobile office. You can work whenever or wherever. Just make sure you don't park next to a kitchen. To a chicken, so that the thing doesn't, what sound do they do? Chickens, they crow. So the thing doesn't crow in your ear. But as for cows, you can't avoid it. Abuja is overrun by cows now. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. Central area, there are cows. Outskirts, there are cows. So there are cows everywhere, so you can't avoid that one. You might be in the car trying to have a business conversation, and the next thing, cows like... So you can't avoid that. Hopefully, you won't be on a Zoom call with someone in the international market, because I can imagine Americans, listening in thinking like, what the hell is going on in that country? Like, you're a central district and you have cows just walking around. So that's the first random thought. There are benefits to coming early. even though we are in an African time culture and in a Nigerian time culture. Now, the for the second meeting, the lady that I had the meeting with, she's been in business much longer than I am, and of course, she's much older than I am, because she has a bunch of kids, and our oldest has currently relocated. He's almost 30 years old, so there's quite a significant gap between us. So, apart from business collaborations, once in a while, it's nice to talk family stuff and business stuff as well, because most of my friends have kids around my age. Okay, well, apart from my brother who started when he was 25, so his kids are teenagers right now. Not big teenagers, like small teenagers, like 14, 14, 13, that kind of thing. Where was I? So, in my conversation with her, I just remembered a bunch of things that I spoke about in an older episode, the podcast episode that I made about social capital. Now, social capital, hard to define, but in my own opinion, the way I like to define it, social capital are just the experiences, the sum total of experiences that people are exposed to in a domestic environment. And then that informs children's worldview and things like that. It's something I can relate to because, well, we should all be able to relate to, because sometimes the difference between, okay, let me keep it in my family. The difference between me and some of my cousins, because there are some of my cousins who are a lot smarter, a lot ambitious, stuff like that. But due to circumstances of our birth, we just had different social capital growing up. I was raised by my parents in a different part of the country, certain kind of income, certain kind of neighborhood, but a bunch of them, some of them raised in the village, things like that. So you can see how with different circumstances, with different social capital, some of my cousins would have turned out a whole lot different. And I guess that is some of what Warren Buffett means when he says that for him it's all luck because he won the genetic lottery, being born in America at a time when he was born to those parents that he was born to, stuff like that. So you can see that it's difficult to what's that word? Define. Yeah, so difficult to define, but it's a sum total of all these experiences. And in the older episode that I made on social capital, basically I was saying that one of the reasons why we should all get involved in businesses is because we are enriching our children with social capital, we're informing their worldview, and we're helping them learn how to face the world. And that's because by the time me and Madame were done with business conversations, we started talking about our kids, and I've learned last week that my son is into origami. That's the Japanese art of how do I put it? Paper art, basically. So he's making all this paper stuff. Those of us 70s, 80s kids, all those things that we used to do. Okay, well, we all used to make paper planes and then paper guns. We didn't do the fancy stuff because you can do all kinds of things. You can make frogs, you can make swans, you can make balls, paper balls, you can make dragons, you can make all kinds of things. So that sort of stuff. I mean, you young kids nowadays, you will know nothing about that because everything is digital for you guys. So you guys don't really play with wood and paper and sticks and stones like we used to. So my son is into origami, and I just found out last week that he actually is selling some of his stuff in school, and it made me really proud. I've been waiting and looking for an inroad to have some of those conversations. The first time we spoke about stuff, he was talking about lemonade stands, and I had to bring it back down to earth. Look, that's just some Nickelodeon BS. As in, it's not going to work in this environment. Like, it can work, but weather, sanitary conditions, blah blah blah. It's probably not a good business to get involved in. And so, after a while, I was wondering, like, did I do the right thing? Like, should I have shut him down? Should I have said, oh yeah, lemonade stand, good idea. This is how we execute it. Where are you going to sell? Is it going to be in school? Let's run this thing. Let's see how it can, whether this thing can pop off or not. And I started feeling really bad and regretting that I had that conversation with him. But then now he has started this thing of selling origami, and I'm glad that he's throwing his head back in the game, and he's taking a shot at it, and it made me really, really proud. And of course, it's okay. I was going to say it's obvious. Maybe it's not obvious, but I think it's also a contributing factor that my son is watching, because not only is my son watching me do what it is that I do. But then when we talk, I tell him stuff, about my father. That's his granddad, who is late at the moment. So, we talk and I tell him that, your grandfather used to sell cement, grandfather used to do this, grandfather used to run this one worked, this one didn't work, this is why, blah, 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 all these sorts of things. So, my son is around, he's seeing me, the things I'm trying to run. Once in a while, he sees some of my friends, and then and whenever I'm done with a client, I have the conversation with him, like, okay, yeah, so spoken with the client, this is the client's business, and he's like, oh, really? So people can make money doing this, people can make money doing that. When I grow up, I want to make money. So with all these conversations, I think the young man is learning quite a bit, and so, excuse me. So I guess it's not surprising that he has started trying. He's now currently selling origami to his classmates, and I am keeping the proceeds. This school has this thing where they give out vouchers, like virtual money, that people are able to cash at the end of the term. So he's collecting the vouchers and he's going to be able to cash it out at the end of the term. So I'm keeping the vouchers and I'm watching everything stack up, and I'm real proud. And I'm even happy because it's going to be 2 lessons in one, because my son, is going to learn about business, going to learn about selling, meeting a market need, and he's also going to learn something, because now that we're moving to this whole thing of Web3 and blah blah blah, things being tokenized and things like that. He's also going to, I think, it's going to be a good introduction for us having that conversation into Web3 and tokenization, because what he is selling the origami for is not money, but can be converted into money, into something else. So that would also be, good conversations for the future. What are NFTs? When people tokenize things over the web, what is all that about? Convertibility issues, naira to dollar, all these sorts of things. So room for good conversations there. So, all this basically is, I think it's a good reason to get involved in business, because you can see that there's social capital that is going on between me and my son. So it doesn't matter whether the thing works or it doesn't work. Like for my father, none of the enterprises really took off. The cement thing, that one had promise. It had real promise. But because my father was a civil servant, it's unethical for civil servants in Nigeria to have a business outside anyway. So he had family members run it. And, some of you listening to the show now, as per, like your father had a business, he tried to involve some uncles and cousins and things like that. And so we know how it all goes. Even though they meant well. Funny enough, my wife also has that kind of experience too. Like her father also had a bunch of stuff, and he wanted to help the community, help the family. So, I set up this business, uncle this, come and run this, cousin this, come and run this, sister this, come and run that, and all these things didn't end well. But anyway, that's podcast episode for another day. But I'm just trying to say that my father does a bunch of stuff, social capital transfers to me. I run a bunch of things, social capital transfers to my kids. So you can see now how deliberately, small by small, what's that word? I don't want to use destiny. Destiny is too big. The trajectory of a family can be changed. So social capital, big thing. Let's take advantage of it. So yeah, the reason why that came up actually is because, like I said, this lady, her kids are much older. The 30-year-old has already left the house, but the baby of the house is still there. She's a teenager, like proper teenager. And while I was there were dogs all over the place. I don't like dogs because I was attacked as a child. And it turns out that it's her daughter who has all the dogs, because what she's doing is she's raising what would I call them? I don't know the terms. Exotic. She's raising exotic breeds of dogs, and she's selling them. And so one of the, the small ones that are hairy and fluffy, not chihuahuas, because they're bigger than chihuahuas, but I don't know what they're called, but they have hair. You have a dog and it just looks like a white afro running around. So the dog has gotten a bunch of children. What do you call dog children? The dog has pups. Yeah, so there are lots of pups running around the house. So just dogs everywhere. And that's the thing that her daughter is doing for business. And I'm like, madam, like, this is correct. Like, this is a good hustle. And she's like, of course now. When they were small, following me to trade show, follow me here, follow me here. They've been seeing what it is that I've been doing. So everybody's running their own thing. So the 30-year-old is abroad, is running his own thing. The middle child abroad, running his own thing. Daughter here in Nigeria has started her own thing. And that is really, really good experience, because breeding dogs is not, is work. Any kind of animal husbandry is work. Veterinarian, you need to make sure that the animals are healthy. Of course, if you go to the vet now, it's not free. So the girl is having to pay from her own pocket veterinary costs. She's having to pay from her own pocket food costs. She's having to clean up after these things. And then she also has to do inventory management, because, sometimes these things are fashionable. Like, there was a time when bulldogs used to reign. Everybody wanted to buy bulldogs. Bulldogs mixed with, what are they called? When you take a bulldog and then you mix it with something. I can't remember what all those breeds are called. So there was a time when that was always raining in Nigeria. So you also need to learn inventory management, because if you're breeding the small furry things, but everybody is trying to buy Alsatians mixed with pit bulls and all whatnot, then you're on a long thing, because you're holding inventory that nobody wants to buy. So this teenager is learning a lot right now. And for those of you who we've been talking to one-on-one, because I've spoken to a bunch of you university people, NYC people, still at home with Momsi, and there was one guy that I had to kind of scold because he moved out of the house, and I'm like, what are you moving out for? Independence is overrated. Trust me, independence is overrated. Right now, you're staying in Popsy's house, you're staying in Momsi's house. Okay, so they want you to come in by 8 o'clock every day. I understand, it's rough, but in fact, it's not rough. 8 o'clock is reasonable. Let's not be idiots about this. If Popsy says be home by 8, it's reasonable. Because let's face it, once in a while, if you're home 8 every day, but then Friday, you disappear and you come back 11. Worst case scenario, Popsy will burn and he will strong face, but it's not as if he's going to beat you. And he's not going to kick you out of the house. So I think 8 o'clock is reasonable. So this whole thing of you want independence, you want to be your own man, you want to this, that, you want to be your own woman, you're tired of people stressing you, just stay in the house. There are advantages. Staying in the house, you don't have to worry about your own feeding. I don't think Popsy and Momsy, if you're raising dogs, like my friend's daughter is, they might not pay for the food for the dogs. They might be like, look, that's your own business. I don't want shit on the floor in the house. I want to be able to sleep without noise. Don't disturb me, just do your business. You can use this room or you can use the back of the house, whatever. So there are advantages for those of you who are still teenagers. Don't do this, I want to be my own man thing. Just stay at home first. Just stay in the house. You don't have to worry about food. Transportation is your own, most likely, but at least you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about rent. This is the time to start running your thing. So for those of you who say you want to do copywriting business, blah, 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 and all whatnot, yes, Popsy is nagging you every day. It's annoying. I understand. But stay in the house now. Continue to crash on the floor or whatever. But the thing is, at least you are not paying house rent. And at least you're not paying for food. Because how will Momsy cook? And because this is Nigeria, Momsy won't cook. Momsy can't cook and then say you should go and pay. I understand that in the UK and in some parts of America, they're harsh like that. Like, my time has reached. You're 18 years old. It's time to start paying room and board. Pay for food, contribute for this, contribute for that. But in Nigeria, it's one of the benefits that we have of being in Nigeria. And, we haven't reached that level yet. So stay at home and take advantage of these sorts of things. Anyway, bottom line, for those of you who are thinking, should I start a business? Should I not start a business? This is one of the reasons. Social capital. Your children are watching. Your sons are watching. Your daughters are watching. And when they watch, it looks doable. It's not so scary. And they will start somewhere and you'll be around to guide them and say, oh, my daughter, this your dog bearing business. Remember when we were small and I used to do this one, and I used to go for this trade fair and that trade fair. There's something that we call inventory management. This is how you do it. You do it like this, you do it like that. You do market research, blah, blah, blah. Just like the conversations that me and my son are going to have. So social capital, really good. Both of our children are learning lessons about selling. In fact, that's the one that really sweets me the most. Because my son, well, he's been always good at talking to people anyway. So he's going out, he's talking to people, random people, different classes, 2 classes above. Okay, he doesn't sell to the juniors, so it's his classmate and then people above. Let's see what else. Learning how to meet marketing demands, like my friend whose daughter, like this lady. Okay, let me just say acquaintance. She's not really my friend. Besides, she's older than me, so we can't be friends. So this lady, hope we do some business together. Whose son is learning, whose daughter is selling the dogs. Then I guess the funny thing is, by our kids trying to run this hustle that they're running, they're actually becoming very, very good at socializing. And they are becoming better at socializing than other kids. So fancy that. Your children take a liking to business, and it helps them be better adults in the future, and it helps them be better kids for now because they can socialize a whole lot better than the other classmates who just bury their heads in tablets every day. So that's it. This is another reason to start a business. Social capital. Teach your kids about the world, even if you don't say anything. By watching you, they're learning about the world, and it'll give them confidence to face the future. So that's the end of my random episode today. Connect with me on WhatsApp. The phone number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234 if you're not Nigerian. Also connect with me on WhatsApp. The name to look for is Tabishima Ayede. I'm the host of the show. You can confirm the spelling of my name from the link where you're listening to this episode. So highlight, copy, paste in LinkedIn. My handsome face will show up, and then you can connect with me on either of these avenues for insights, tips, questions. I mean, for those of you who reach out to say, I listened to this, but I disagree, I love having those conversations with you guys. It also informs future updates and episodes that I have to, that I make later on. And then, I think I'll share some more. In future episodes, I'll share some more stuff, stuff on my playlist. So you guys decide. Let me know if you agree with my wife, whether I'm a nerd or not. But yeah, so while you're working, just put on some Serge Tankian. That's Tankian, or just check System of a Down. Really good music there. But if your momsy is born again, please do not play it from speakers through the house. She will come out and say, what kind of demonic music is this? Come on, will you shut that thing off? Then Star Trek, Star Trek Beyond, or Star Trek Wrath of Khan. Both of them equally good movies, and no nudity, no violence, so that'll be okay. Well, there was this scene where Captain Kirk kissed an alien who was green. So yeah, if your mom sees born again, she might not like that. Like, what kind of rubbish is this? Committing fornication with an alien? Will you turn this thing off? So yeah, that's it for today. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.